Benjamin Alpha Adu Esquire is a member of the NDC National Communications team and also speaks for the Attorney General and Minister for Justice's office. He's our guest in studio this morning. Alpha, good morning. I trust that all is well with you.
Yes. Good morning, Mawena, and belated happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very, very much. Also is Emmanuel Senyo Amekpelenu, is a communications team member of the opposition New Patriotic Party as well. Emmanuel, good morning to you. I trust that all is well.
Good morning, Mawena.
Alpha is getting a bit lost.
I want us to select
you were deliberate. You were deliberate on that one. But we're talking three big things this morning: Public Accounts Committee and whether or not we're engaged in a theatrics of some sort over the course of time, particularly in our Fourth Republican dispensation, and the age-old problem of floods in the capital. Lastly, we talk African Union, and that's where I want to start. Just quickly, today is AU Day. The 25th of May. It's AU Day. It used to be a holiday. That's why a lot of people remembered it, but it's now commemorative. And the big question is whether or not, as a continent, we can unite. And I think we can even bring in the xenophobic attacks and what our Foreign Affairs Ministry has been doing. I'll start off with you, Alpha. Quick thoughts on the day and whether or not this legal lingua franca, which is becoming a part of no, it's the whether or not phrase I'm beginning to use a lot these days. It becomes a part of you at some point, but
because of the kind of things you cover.
Yes. Whether we can ever get to the point where Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah envisaged for the African Union, just briefly as we get into other matters.
Thank you, Mawena. It's important that we table a topic like this for discussion. I think that in the last few years, we've doubled down a bit on the African Union celebration. It used to be a permanent holiday, but now it's just observance. We just mention it in passing on May 25. And that is symbolic of how far we have come in terms of our pursuit of Pan-Africanism. I actually believe that Pan-Africanism is not dead, but it is incomplete. And like we already know, our African independence has largely been political. And for about 60 years, we have chased, in utmost illusion, economic independence, economic integration of the continent. I think that is what the pursuit is about now. When we talk about African independence, for political independence, we have largely achieved it. I mean, there are no longer any colonies, right? But as it translates into sovereign, rulership or governance of our resources, of our economic potentials or not, that is the real question. Somewhere in 1884 in Berlin, some groups of white people sat down and said that we are partitioning Africa amongst ourselves. And so they just, took the African map, drew lines through it and say, you take this Gold Coast, you take this side of the continent, and then let's rule it, right? Now, these divisions did not take into account the various ethnicity and the dynamics and nuances of these ethnicities. It did not take into account trade routes that pre-colonial people of Africa were using. Okay, it did not take into account cultures and systems that were a bit harmonized amongst our people. All right, and so the effect is that even though these colonies eventually transitioned into countries, we have states or countries that have underlying cultural and economic issues because before colonization, there existed a certain system that was not given due regard after the partitioning of Africa. So for now, we say we have achieved political independence, but how are we synergizing on the issues of trade? Okay, we talk about the African Free Continental Trade Area. We are a few years into implementing it. What have we achieved with it now? Okay, mobility of goods and services, digital integration. All right, why shouldn't it be so easy to send mobile money or a transfer to somebody in, say, Tanzania, right? It should be very easy because those are the lines on which we must pursue African integration now. So I think Pan-Africanism is not dead. I think it is just incomplete. We just had one political side, which is the struggle for liberation.
Absolutely.
We have touted it for 60 years, but have failed to do the proper economic integration, cultural integration, digital, in terms of trade, movement of goods and services and all of that. And it's important that on days like this, Africa take stock of its attempt to integrate, all right? And I hope that the African Union will be up and doing. In my personal opinion, I think that they've been a white elephant for a while now. We see these xenophobic attacks in South Africa. At least it has been on the front burner for the past 2 or 3 weeks. But I haven't heard any concrete steps that the AU has taken. Because this is a serious Pan-African issue. These issues go to the heart of Pan-Africanism and how people of Africa are relating in each other's country, right? But I don't see exactly what they are doing. I know that the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ghana have asked the AU to table these xenophobic attacks as one of its main issues to consider at its next sitting. These are some of the moves that help address long-standing problems on the continent. And it is my hope that when the African Union get the opportunity, it will take these bold steps. The African Union was created as that body to push forward our march for, total political and economic integration. So it's important that on African Union Day, we take stock of how far the African Union itself has been useful to us as a continent in our push for economic integration amongst others. And that's why I think that the conversation should lie.
Right. Emmanuel, I also pay quick thoughts on you on a day like this and what we can do as a people to ensure that we come together and realize the hopes and ambitions by our forebears.
Well, thank you very much, Marina. Once again, good morning to you and good morning to Alpha. I think I'm meeting you for the first time, and this is my first time also being in your studios.
Right.
Indeed, it's an African Day, but the question you ask is that whether our goals and aspirations are being met as Africans.
Yeah.
For me, Alpha made one very salient point, which I think is in process now, which has to do with the fact that we should be able to send funds from here and that would be able to be received in the other country in terms of their local currency. Years ago, it is very difficult for you to be able to send money to maybe a Ghanaian sending money to Nigeria. You will not be able to do that except through EcoBank. But today, with the support of PASS, Africans now are able to receive local currencies within their respective countries. Now, for me, what I've noticed as far as Pan-Africanism is concerned is that it looks like it's become a cliche. Plenty talks, but no action. We talk, we give so many, proposals, this is what we need to do, and all of that. But at the end of the day, we fail to execute them.
Yeah.
I was coming to the studio, I was listening to, I don't know if it was Johnny also who said that you were scared to say that they are toothless dog. It was Johnny,
yes,
right?
That was Johnny.
And I must not mean words.
I side with him. AU and ECOWAS are becoming like white elephants.
We must not mince words.
And one critical thing I've seen is that it looks like most of the African countries are not concerned about the Pan-Africanism. See, Pan-Africanism is not dead. I would rather say they are in coma. They need some sort of push. They need to be beaten for them to wake up from their slumber.
2.7.
Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because a classical example is what is happening in South Africa. How many times have we had AU leaders or government leaders within the AU continent speak about that? How many of the leaders have you heard speaking about that? Because it is not their country. None of them is speaking. I think for nothing at all, it is only Nigeria and Ghana that I'm hearing talking. Tinubu and our president is the only one talking. The likes of the other African countries, they are not talking because it doesn't concern them. Yet we are all preaching one continent. We are preaching one continent. We come in a fanfare style. We come and pack ourselves in one conference hall. We talk big grammar. We talk big policies. But at the end of the day, nothing is there to show for it. So for me, I think that, yes, the Pan-Africanism we want to see, one big continent with different borders, it's something that we need to push harder. If you recall this year, I think that the African Prosperity Network, they talk about, the borderless system, and then Mr. Ras Mubarak also talked about the fact that there is the need for us to have a common visa, which he traveled across over 30 countries, African countries. As African countries, why should I be worried when I'm passing Togo border? Why should I be worried when I'm passing Benin or Nigeria or Cameroon or Sierra Leone? These are things we need to, but our leaders are not talking. I have queried myself that how come between Ghana to even Nigeria, we are unable to have a railway line that will connect us, that in the next 1 hour or 45 minutes you can get to Nigeria. We are not thinking afar. We are only thinking about let's organize 1 or 2 conferences in our own interest. It's more or less like the countries involved under this whole Pan-Africanism thing, they are thinking about their individual goals than even the continental goal. So going forward, though we are celebrating our day today, I want to plead with the right authorities. Our president is a member of the AU and ECOWAS. They should champion the agenda of the African continent. More importantly, the youth, the agenda of the youth. Look at what our youth or our people are facing in South Africa. One common interest that runs through the African continent is the issue of jobs. One issue that is happening is the issue of these immigrants that are, today if it is not Nigerian that is sacking Ghanaians, they are beating the traders. It is Ghana that is sacking traders. Let's have a common platform and let's settle these things once and for all. And we believe strongly that as a continent, our goals will be achieved. Yeah.
Right. You mentioned the situation about migrants, and so maybe I want to chip it in because in the spirit of African Union, the government has been seeking to repatriate some. Initially, we were told 300. Now it's moved to 800 plus.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yesterday we were hearing from the High Commissioner to South Africa, Benjamin Kwashi, as the screening was ongoing there. The Foreign Affairs Minister as well was in South Africa. But some of the minority MPs have been criticizing government when last week they couldn't repatriate a number of them, and so the foreign ministers had to go there. Your thoughts on the exercise being undertaken by government and the package as well that is to be provided to the individuals when they return to the jurisdiction?
Well, thank you very much. I have not heard in terms of the criticisms, but what I heard of has to do with the fact that the foreign minister needs to, be transparent with the public as to the full disclosure of the cost involved. I think that's what I've heard them talk about. I don't know if you've heard any other thing else. So I think it was Honorable Patrick Boerman who made that request on the floor of Parliament that there is the need for a full disclosure on the cost involved. And I think that this is nothing so new or so different from what we've witnessed over the years. It is only proper that as people, we get to know the full package that is involved. When they come back, what is government's alternative plans for them? Because I know that in the last 2 or 3 weeks, the first gentleman who came had a private citizen giving him an offer of 200,000 and also saying that I'm setting up a cement factory for you. But what is government's own plan for these 300 or 800 people that are going to come? Again, we were informed that last week they were supposed to come. But as to what the technical challenges are, we were not told what the technical challenges are. So for me, I believe strongly that these things must be transparent to all of us to get first-hand information as to what is actually involved. Nothing should be in an opaque way where people will begin to wonder. Because what the gentlemen or our brothers are going through in SA, sometimes I watch the videos and I ask myself, really? See, to be sincere with you, let me be frank and be blunt on this platform. One of the days I just told myself that And actually, me organize the boys no name QMT and can't almost a free room hanko.
That would be
unlawful.
Oh, you know, I agree with you. No, it was just a thought that came to mind because I just cannot bear the fact that somebody who is just walking freely without doing anything and they are beating the person. I just cannot fathom what is going on. So for me, let me first, I will not say that because I'm on the other side. I'll commend the government for whatever they are doing. However, they need to be very clear. They need to be transparent with the country. Let's know, the cost involved. The cost mostly is what actually raises alarm. So we need to know the cost, the package when they come back. What is the next alternative for them? Is government putting in plans that, okay, when you come, we'll give you this and that? Some, I want to believe, some do not even have homes in Ghana. Would they be lodging in hotels? What would be the cost? If they come, let's get to know. Some are even coming with their kids, their school fees, and because the person is now going to start all over again. Because I want to believe that some of them are there. Let's be very frank to ourselves. Some, Charlie, it's difficult for them to even survive in SA. I have a lot of friends over there that I engage every now and then. I have been on X platform, and even TikTok, where at some point in time I took on the SA guys out, and you see these guys, the manner in which they talk. So for me, I want to commend government, but the commendation alone is not enough. There is the need for them to be very transparent with the public. Let's know what is involved. Let's know the packages being given to the people, or the packages they are preparing when the people come, how they are going to go about it. I believe that if the country is kept in the known, minority will also soften its stance on some of these demands.
Right, Benjamin.
Yeah. So, Mawena, I think that Senor put it rightly, largely. Except that transparency has never been an issue for this government and the Minister for Foreign Affairs. You recall that when this incident happened, he issued statement and took a number of diplomatic steps to try and resolve it, right? One of them was to summon the South African High Commissioner. Another was to engage directly with his counterpart, Minister of Foreign Affairs of South Africa on the issue. And I think the latest in the steps he has taken is to repatriate those who are willing to return. But I think that it's important that we consider the issue in a certain perspective. You see, there are a lot of Ghanaians living in South Africa, but the issue has to do with those who are normally working in the informal sector and doing menial jobs, who do not have the right legal protection to stay there. People who are lecturers, who are engineers and all of that do not suffer this. So first of all, if you are bringing these people back, you must first of all decide on a very comprehensive plan. Mind you, this is not an issue that government anticipated, all right? It's an issue that happened. And every government, every responsible government must come through for its people, okay, whenever it is necessary, all right? And so even though it is not an issue that was anticipated, government have quickly taken steps. One of the key ones being to repatriate all of the citizens who are willing to come back. Now, when this announcement was made, there was a certain targeted number of people. Remember, this is not a compulsory evacuation of all Ghanaians. It's those who are willing to come. Okay? So government had an estimate. Now, when people were asked, those who wanted to come were asked to go and register, quickly within a period of 2 days, realized that the estimated numbers have shot up to about 800. And this means that all of the protocols that have to be involved in repatriating or bringing them back would have to be revised in line with these numbers. Okay, that is why on 21st May, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, the Minister for Foreign Affairs issued a press release and says, we will defer the repatriation for a few days, okay, because of the numbers that have registered. Because one, there are legal conditions that have to be met internally in South Africa when you are evacuating. Two, there are pre-boarding screenings that have to be done. Three, they would also have to consider how to reintegrate people back into the society and all of that. So it has been deferred a few days to cater for these things that have come up, all right, because of the numbers. Now, yesterday, I listened to the Minister for Foreign Affairs speaking to Ghanaians in South Africa. And he mentioned some plans that government have in terms of reintegrating them into society. And like Senor said, that first man that came, who was the direct attack of these xenophobic groups,
yes,
Mr. Asamoah,
we got all of
he
this
was
started.
lucky enough to have been received by Ibrahim Mahama. He indicated that he wanted a hardware business. Ibrahim Mahama has generously offered to set him up. The Minister of Foreign Affairs indicated that the government is considering, speaking to other philanthropic groups, other corporate entities to absorb, right? And that there are slots for 150. They are going to take those slots so that when those people come back, based on your employability, your skills that you have, you are fixed. Because that is very important. When you bring them back without livelihoods, you had better left them there. So it's quite a comprehensive issue that must be dealt with, not just a swift evacuation that is important, but the reintegration bit is also equally important. And I think that on this xenophobic attacks bit, this morning, Manasseh Azuri has posted the Foreign Affairs Minister and has written a number of things
extensively. I think
yes,
I saw,
about what he is doing. This Minister for Foreign Affairs has been up and doing in respect of these xenophobic attacks. He is taking quick steps. He is taking bold measures, all right, both in terms of dealing on the issues on the ground and dealing on the issues on the diplomatic level. And one of the very important things he's done, that is that beyond the bilateral level, that is Ghana, South Africa, we need to tackle this on a multilateral level, on a continental level. And that's why he's moving a motion that this issue be tabled at the African Union, so that African Union heads will take a decisive decision once and for all and ensure that they hold South Africa to it to implement. I have always maintained that these xenophobic attacks in South Africa goes to how we protect our Ghanaian nationals abroad, okay, and how we assert their economic dignity, all right, is an important test for a country. You see, countries are measured by what they do on a continental and global level, the kind of respect that a country has. The reason people respect Ghana, one of the reasons people respect Ghana is because Kwame Nkrumah did not limit himself to developing Ghana and to emancipating Ghana alone. He connected that to an Africa-wide emancipation agenda. And that is why people of Africa and globally respect Ghana. So when these issues come, Ghana as a country needs to be a leader in taking it up and making sure that on a continent level, we are able to get solutions. And that's exactly what the Minister for Foreign Affairs is doing. And I believe that some of these steps that he's taking is in the right direction. And he's definitely going to achieve results. As for the repatriation, it will be done. It's something that they have planned for. And then subject to the few conditions that have to be met, these will be repatriated and they can be reintegrated to Ghanaian society.
Right. 9:08. I'm just going to go for this quick break. When we return, we get into Public Accounts Committee conversations and as well floods, because the president set up an anti-flooding committee, and what's been the effort put in to prevent flooding. We've seen quite a lot in terms of that since the rains began, and we understand there's a bit more in terms of rain expected in the country this year. All of that and more after this quick break. Stay with us. Past 9. We're talking a number of issues, but top on the agenda right now is a public accounts committee and the work that they've been undertaking. They were in Accra for the last week. A number of ministries and agencies were present. The Attorney General himself was present, but it's brought us to asking this question: where do we go from all of the work that's done by Parliament? The expectation is that the AG's office will pick up on some of the matters and deal with them. I don't recall ever hearing the Attorney General has picked up on the subject matter from the Public Accounts Committee and is dealing with it. Are we going to see something of that nature this time round from the current AG?
Yeah, the Attorney General is committed to, as far as there is evidence that support prosecution, prosecute all corruption, financial malfeasance issues in the public sector, amongst other prosecutions that he's mandated to prosecute. So as far as there is evidence, as far as it meets the prosecutorial threshold for which the Attorney General must pursue, the Attorney General is going to do that. This week, I heard that a number of these infractions are being referred to the Attorney General for investigation and prosecutions. But you see, it's important to note that these infractions do themselves not constitute the crime. There have to be further investigation to establish exactly what the culpability of these individuals are. And when the Attorney General went to the Public Accounts Committee, he made a very important point that if you look at the Auditor General's report, some aspects contain infractions raised by the Auditor General in respect of certain MMDAs. But those infractions or those reports, aspect of the report, does not include the responses from these MMDAs in respect of these infractions. And that makes it difficult, because then you know that in the law courts, you cannot just make a report on someone, table it before the court and say, because these infractions have been cited, prosecute. It's important that natural justice rules are adhered to. So he made that point that these auditors must help prosecutions by making sure that their final reports inculcate responses that have been given by these MMDAs, so that there is a clearer picture for prosecutions by the Attorney General. So that's on that bit. On a broader bit of the work of the Public Accounts Committee, right? For me, apart from Parliament's mandate of making laws, I think the Public Accounts Committee constitutes the single most important other function of Parliament. Like we know, as a basic rule of governance, Parliament is supposed to check the executive, all right? And by that, Parliament does that mainly through its committees. Okay, it hardly happens on the plenary that some of these matters are tabled, because then that would be too much. Okay, so it is these committees that are given the responsibility to deal with various sectors, and the Public Accounts Committee's responsibility is to look at the Auditor General's report, summon people to come and answer questions in respect of these infractions, and that's what we've been doing over the years. And so the Public Accounts Committee has enormous powers. In fact, when a committee of Parliament is sitting, right, and Article 103, it has the powers and privileges and immunities of a High Court for the purposes of summoning people, administering oaths, enforcing compliance with production of documents and all of that. The Parliament committees, not only the Public Accounts Committee, but committees of Parliament, when they are sitting, have those enormous powers. I think that the Public Accounts Committee, while it has helped to put the spotlight on financial malfeasance and infractions or irregularities with disbursement of funds in the public sector, it has helped to put the spotlight on it. It has not done much in the Fourth Republic in terms of helping us recover. And there are a number of things that they are still supposed to do. So every year they sit, people are named for this. It is referred to the Attorney General, and the public are not updated on what's happened. If I ask you,
which is a subject matter.
Yes, if I ask you, Marina, that the 2024 Public Accounts Committee, all of the referrals they made, what is the update now in terms of the recoveries? What will you?
There's zero knowledge.
And you are somebody that covers the space actively. So if you don't know, ordinary citizens would also not know, and that leads to a decrease in confidence in our parliament and how it functions. So I think that beyond the naming and shaming, Public Accounts Committee must move towards systemic fixes. All right. So this is what they can do. You see, every person who is named in the Public Accounts Committee report and summoned is a product of a certain system. It's a certain system that allowed that infraction. All right. Normally payroll issues. Okay. Normally disbursement that were made without approvals. All of these are systemic issues. So Parliament or the Public Accounts Committee, as part of recommendation, can demand a biannual, can issue biannual reports where they demand systemic fixes and actually tie it into budgetary approval. So, for example, the Ministry of Education has been cited for a number of infractions. Okay, if we are dealing with the system, what happens is that before the next budget approval, the Ministry of Education must show compliance with all of the irregularities that were raised as a basis for the approval of the budget, even at the committee stage. I don't know if you understand the picture I'm trying to paint. So we tie compliance with approval of budget and all of that.
But is it also not an issue of all of this doesn't go anywhere? It's why things remain the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that I am making a recommendation because we've not seen this thing being done. So I am actually making a recommendation that let's move from the naming and shaming to systemic fixes. What is being considered is a report for what is now is a report of, I think, 2024 Auditor General's report, and then there are, I think, special report too on certain sectors. And people are named in there. Most of these people, or a number of these people, are civil servants, people that are still within the sector. So every year we continue to name people without fixing the system. And I think that it is the system that must be fixed. Secondly, I also think that there must be post-hearing recovery updates and mechanisms. So, for example, in August 2025, the Public Accounts Committee ordered that the District Directorate of Donko Krum, they charged them to refund, I think, over 17,000 cedis, right? That's August 2025. Okay. What has happened to that refund? We have no idea what has happened to that refund, right? So if there is a tracker, the Public Accounts Committee itself will do a tracker and say, in respect of these agencies, when we search out them or when we ask them to do the following, this is the update on it. It engenders more public confidence in these institutions. And also, when it's about hearing mechanisms, strengthening post-hearing mechanisms, we also need to mention that these institutions must also be called out for the issues that, regarded their sector. They must be called out for it. You understand? Because what we see is that every year the names get mentioned and we sweep it under the carpet and then nothing happens. Public Accounts Committee must begin to flex its muscles and must begin to move beyond the sittings and must take concrete steps to make sure that we get more value for the work that they are doing.
Will prosecutions be one of the deterrents? Because, yes, politicians get a lot of grief, and after every election cycle when power changes hands, politicians want to go after politicians.
Absolutely.
The civil servants, like I was hearing, someone attributing a jump in loss from, is it 800 million or is it 900 million to in excess of a billion? No, it's 900,000 to in excess of 1 point something million, and saying it was down to inflation.
Yeah.
The chair screams, and that's it.
Yeah. So yes, prosecutions are important. Prosecutions will serve not only as deterrent, but also justice for the Republic in respect of these amounts that have been lost. But it comes back to the question that I was raising from the beginning of the discussion. How these reports, okay, its probative or evidential value, because we hear the names, but what is the investigation behind it? Beyond the people that are named, how do we go beyond it, investigate and establish their culpability? And what happens is that because the public hear these amounts, they are expecting to hear what happened. So yes, prosecutions are an important part of it. And like I've already mentioned, the Attorney General is committed, all right, to prosecuting all public sector malfeasance or crimes, whether it happened in the past government or ongoing, if it would happen in this government. He is committed to prosecuting that. And in respect of that, there are several people standing trial.
From the audit report of the Public Accounts Committee?
The National Service, the Auditor General's report, the National Service case, one of the key reasons why it is in court is because the Auditor General did a special report on it and issued a special report on it. So when the Auditor General's report gives room for the Attorney General to exercise its prosecutorial authority, it will. And a number of these cases, when they are referred to the Attorney General, the referral is not enough for prosecution. The referral is for further investigation and to establish grounds for prosecution.
I think where there is genuine concern is the fact that in all of our dispensation, take out the special audits, because the National Service prosecution, which is currently ongoing, was a special audit after the Fourth Estate undertook an investigative report. Then there are special audits which are carried out from time to time, which draws attention. But outside of the special audits,
in respect of the general
ones,
that has to do with civil servants
we
and all of that.
We are yet to see anybody ever answer for some of those.
Yes, Moena, this Attorney General is committed to that. But I don't even think that it's exactly true that we have not held civil servants to account.
I say here because I can't sit here and say.
I don't think. I think there are a number of prosecutions that have to do with civil servants, not only political appointees. The point is that because these people are not high political figures, we do not hear about it. But I do not want to believe that since the Public Accounts Committee became a feature of our parliamentary system, no civil servant have been prosecuted. I do not want to believe that. However, like I have mentioned, the Attorney General is committed to this. This is actually referrals that have been made to the Attorney General for further prosecutions or further investigation and prosecution. And all of them, the Attorney General welcomes them in good faith. He's going to take up these matters and prosecute or investigate and prosecute where it is appropriate to prosecute. So that commitment is there, and we are going to see those prosecutions in respect of public sector people that commit financial malfeasance when they are done. This Attorney General is very committed to that, and I can say that with all confidence.
Right. Emmanuel, let me come to you on public accounts work, and the argument is that both sides, you continue to pass the baton around in terms of leadership. You come and then you shake each other small, and then everybody goes home and the loot continues and everybody enjoys. That's what it's become between NPP and NDC.
So we pass the baton. Is it 100 meters relay we are playing? Anyway, in fact, when I saw the topic, it baffles me a bit. I think that the issue of the Public Accounts Committee, when you ask me in one term, I'll tell you that it becomes a revolving thing. It goes round the clock and comes back to the same place. Because just as you said, Marina, if it is not the other party, it is anti-clockwise. If it is not clockwise, it's anti-clockwise. So you realize that you are just going around the same thing. Now, when you look at it, one question I ask myself is that whether officials are ever punished when some of these things happen. Rarely do you see some of these things, some of these officials getting punished. And these are the procedures. one of the procedures is that the PAC's powers ends mostly at referrals.
Yeah.
Now, let me just give you the cyclical nature of it. You find an irregularity, and then the next thing you do is that you refer the person to AG.
Yeah.
Now, when you refer the case to AG, it's either they continue or the case gets stalled. Now, from that aspect, the next year, the same group of people or MDAs, you see them coming back again. So it is the same thing that keeps repeating itself. But as a country, what are we doing to find a way to regulate that aspect? Because if you and I are friends and you happen to be in front of, because sometimes I watch some of the procedures and for example, Honorable Stan, what's the name? George Stan, what's the name? Jata.
Sam George.
He finished his proceedings. He was like, Honorable Abner, it's my very good friend. And I'm like, she's your very good friend. So what it means is that if I have that rapport with you, I should be able to find a way to, do things so that I will not put out your name in the mud like that. So for me, I'm of a firm belief that the fight or the work of PAC has become a revolving or a recurring situation where the same issues the issues are not different. If it is not issues of procurement, it is issue of receipts, it is issue of numbers overstated or understated. Look at what they did to the procurement officer from Defense Ministry, who is now with, I think, Lands Ministry or so. The man whose name came up in the audit report, and later on, auditors have to say that no, the figure.
But even for him, before that fourth estate, the challenge with the audit report, he was at the Defense Ministry where some vehicles were to be procured, and the vehicles are nowhere to be found.
Where is that?
He's currently at the Lands.
What you are talking about?
It was in the Auditor General's report.
It was in the Auditor General's report. Okay, but what was put out for which the public criticized him
was a mistake in figures. Yes, he had earned. There was a problem of unearned salaries. It was just a case of the amount, which was very well stated above and beyond.
Yeah. Then they said disposition.
Yes, then they said typographical error, transpositional error. That was what.
Well, maybe if it is 534, they rather make it 4.
But that was not even transpositional error.
No, because what it was that, you see, when you are arranging the columns, you can state senior's name. There may be Ministry of this, so they mistook the figure by his name with
to
that
somebody
of the
else.
Ministry of Education. That amount were supposed to be unearned salaries for the Ministry of Education,
and it was attributed.
And mistakenly it was
but that's a very serious case, because the man actually had a lot of backlashes, and for me, I got a bit worried. But he's not a bone of contention here. Let's not even focus much on him. The focus here has to do with the work of PAC. PAC, for me, I think that when you ask me, the theatrics are becoming too much. Like, you go and this banter we keep seeing it's not starting today. The banter has been there over the years. By the end of the banter, the media headlines, the name callings, the name and shame and all of that, what is the next step? For example, in my village or in my region where Afiadaniba Senior High School, the gateman who is supposed to be paid beyond the base pay is being paid less than 400 Ghana cedis, and it's being paid around 200 and something cedis. The man, they've tasked the school to make sure that man is paid. Would there be checks to ensure that is brought to a conclusion, that work is done? Or it is just for the headline, it is just for the camera, we do those videos, it circulates around to show that we care for the people. Beyond that, the man who has caused some, malfeasance within a particular ministry, after the referrals, is that the end? Are we going to see the situation whereby one case, it will take like 10 years, 8 years, 5 years, and still there is no judgment? Not to even talk about refunding the money to the government chest. So it's an issue that if you want to, when I was coming, I listened to Johnny when Johnny was saying that, you see, these people, they are all friends. Easy, I know this person, you know that person. My brother, let's be very frank to ourselves. It's something that sometimes when you're talking about it, you want to be a bit careful because you don't want to be cited for contempt. But this is public funds. This is public funds. So for me, the work of PAC, yes, they are doing well, but I think that much needs to be done. The referrals alone are not enough. The public attention alone is not enough. The media headlines are not enough. The naming and shaming is not enough. Action must be taken. And I am happy to hear that the AG is saying that from Alpha, he is saying that this AG is going to be different. I want to see what to be so different, because if there will be anything that will be different, yes, it's Agrobeswa. If there will be anything that will be so different, the case of Aura should be a classic example to us. But when you say it, you'll be told that, oh, the people are in court. I know you come back with a very strong rebuttal.
You know that.
They will tell you that.
Unless you are saying that the AG should just bundle them.
I'm coming. They'll tell you that the people are in court.
Yes.
Agreed. That you need to go through the procedures.
Yes.
You need to go through the process. But one key thing I have stood against as far as the procedures are concerned is the fact that AG is not a TV host. AG is not MC. The AG does his work in the courtroom. He does his work in the office. But when you talk, he will tell you that because of the issue of accountability and transparency, whereas in the case of Aura, somebody is mentioning $21 billion, AG will come and tell you that he never said that. So there are conflicting issues altogether. So for me, the issue of PAC is good. They need to go through the process. They need to be referred. However, there must be timely delivery of the very issues that they've been referred to, so that it does not stay for long, where one case will have to last for, give or take, 6 years, 4 years, like in the case of Opuni in the previous government. We can mention 1001, even in 10 years, 20 years ago, we know many of them. But what is the end of those cases? So for me, I believe strongly that going forward, PAC should not only be about media headlines. It should not only be at the screaming, Mr. Man, you need to be that. No, Madam Chairperson, no, I need to make... It should not be about the cliche, the theatrics of it. It should be about, if funds needs to be, retrieved, let's retrieve the funds. If the person needs to be, prosecuted, let's prosecute them. Let the laws deal with the person. If the laws deal with the person, I believe that to create some sort of fear in people. Because I have noticed that people have seen that because the laws are not dealing with them, oh, I'll go for bail. I'll go and be coming. It's not court. I'll get money. I'll be fueling my car and be going and be coming. Yeah. Because those things are happening, it is making people not to, appreciate the fact that when you do wrong, you'll be dealt with. So they are emboldened by the fact that, it will travel for 8 years, it will travel for 10 years. Now see me secret there, he lasted for this year. So don't worry. On be cancer, enkosiaga me party beba ye be jame, me party beba nolly prosecute ye be jame. That should not be the bone of contention.
Yeah. Right. But I need to be very clear that any public officer who will be emboldened by delays in justice and because of that would try to pilfer, financially mismanage government funds and all of that will be in deep trouble with this Attorney General. This Attorney General has a serious commitment to prosecute not only past offenses but even ongoing ones or ones that will happen in his own government. We talk about delays in cases. Yes, I think that the public have a right to speedy and effective justice. I agree. And I think the Attorney General has even mentioned that he agrees that there's a legitimate expectation of him to, pursue or prosecute these cases in a speedy manner. However, the Attorney General operates within a system that has long been criticized for delays.
What's he doing about it? It's a question a lot of people
today, if you check, there is a list of cases. There are daily trials that are ongoing. All right? The Attorney General does not control the timelines of the court. When he puts a case before the court, What he can do is to do his part in ensuring that he pursues speedy justice by, serving his document, all of the things that he has to file. He has to do his part and allow the court. Remember that the court is also prosecuting a number of cases beyond these high-profile cases. So before one judge is a number of cases. And you see, people forget that the Attorney General is also a Minister of Justice who is supposed to ensure that in terms of our legal realm, the processes that people have to go through for criminal justice to be met are being upheld. He cannot be seen to be the one because the public want people to go to jail to be seen to be violating our criminal procedure and all of that. And that's something that no amount of pressure will make him do. What the Attorney General is doing is that in a speedy and efficient manner, as much as he can, he is advocating for daily trials. And today, if you go online, you would see that there are a number of cases that will be heard on a daily basis. Some of them, the Deputy Attorney General closes from court about 5 p.m., all right? Sometimes. Everything is being done to prosecute these cases and to bring justice to the people of the Republic. And Senor says that the Attorney General's work is in court. I agree. And seeks to suggest that because of that, the public should not be updated. Like I've mentioned, Attorney General is a Minister of Justice and a Minister of this Republic. He is accountable just like any other minister. The only thing is that because his work is regulated by legal rules, all right, there's a certain remit within which he cannot, operate. So, for example, while a case is sub judice before a court, the Attorney General is never seen commenting. You will never see the Attorney General or Deputy Attorney General grant an interview after a court hearing, like we see other lawyers do. You will never see him. However, where he has discovered evidence of something, he thinks that it's appropriate that the public who have given him the power is briefed. So the public is told that this is what I've uncovered. I'm going to put it before the court. Once the Attorney General files charges, he never comments on a case. He just does his job in court and ensures that the court processes take its due, course. Okay, so everything is being done to prosecute finance and financial related crimes, especially in the public sector, both in past government and if anybody dares in this government and there is prosecutorial evidence that meets the threshold, this Attorney General is very committed. And so things will be different under his regime. Right. We're already seeing results.
On the subject matter of oral, because that's come up in terms of accountability, which Public Accounts Committee is, the AG had said he was going to put a number of individuals before court.
Yeah.
The All Africa Games and all of that. He had given specific timelines. Those timelines have come to pass. Is it the case that investigations have not been rounded up? What is causing the delay on that front?
No, there's not been any delays. I didn't hear the AG give specific timelines in terms of dates. For example, for the All Africa Games and those ones you've cited, he says they are going to be done in a number of weeks, a few weeks. The Minister for Government Communication mentioned that, and the Deputy Attorney General mentioned that no specific dates were given. And indeed, those things will be put before the court. But you see, the Attorney General prefers meticulous, ironclad docket building over mere speed. All right? He thinks that when cases are put before court, it must meet the evidential threshold and it must be so ironclad that those cases will bring justice to the Republic. Okay? So what the Attorney General normally does, or what he does, is that where investigations have concluded, okay, he will actually double check some of the evidence, all right, witness statement. He makes sure that he gets a complete pack before he goes to court. So when we say a docket is ready, in terms of investigation, doesn't complete it. After the investigative docket is ready, there need to be collection of witness statement. There need to be a number of things prepared, a solid team put on the case. And all of these things take time. But the Attorney General is committed to pursue all of that in a speedy manner as much as he can. So these cases that have been mentioned will be put before court. You remember that there has been a new charge filed just last week against Bernard Ntribo in respect of the Exim Bank case. Even in the Hanan case, there are new charges that have been filed. When charges are filed, before charges are filed, the Attorney General will want to have a long look ahead of how the trial is going to go and every step that he has to take to ensure justice. He has to cross all the T's, dot all the I's before he files charges. So these things do take time. And as far as I know, the AG is committed to putting together a solid case, putting it before the court, and ensuring that the Republic gets justice in respect of these cases.
Right. Since you're going to be taking leave of us, I will just pick your thoughts on the flooding situation, just so you leave. Then I can finish up with Emmanuel on.
Yeah, I know that there is a Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Plan,
yes,
GARID or something like that.
But the president also set up a special committee, yes, which involves the deputy chief of staff, yes, and some other persons.
Yes. That shows the president's commitment.
But the floods are still here.
No. So the rains would come. This government has taken over for just about 15 or 16 months, right? A committee has been put together and resources have been assigned to that committee. Everything is being done to ensure that we have a long-term urban development around flooding. Remember that these flooding issues have been perennial. These flooding issues didn't just, and this year we've not seen it in large volume, of course, because maybe June hasn't come for us to test our flood resilience. But we've not seen the West.
Our resilience has been broken. Homes were submerged.
When?
From last weekend, actually. Yes. I've seen videos. Lakeside, for instance, an entire community was completely taken over. Yes. And if my production can even show you videos, yes, of that as well.
It's a big problem. The Minister for Works and Housing
is a member of that committee, yes, as well.
And he's actually estimated that we will need about $6 billion or so to be able to tackle the flooding problem comprehensively. So it's multifaceted. It has to do with funding. It has to do with systems. It has to do with development.
So that's Lakeside for you from last week.
Yes,
that's what the place looked like.
Yes, it's been a
Lakeside.
Yes,
it's been a very perennial.
Where the bridges when going to Lakeside itself?
No, my producer will have to help me with exact details of Kaneshi, Awoshi, Banyard, Bawe, and its environs, yes, completely submerged.
Yes, it's been a perennial problem. And the point I'm making to you is that
these guys are also submerged in the water.
Government's commitment, government is very much aware of how flooding poses a challenge to urban organization. And that's why he's put together that committee. I know that the committee has rolled out a number of measures. It is my hope that these measures would be speedily implemented so that we at least mitigate these flood incidents.
For how long?
No, but you didn't do it in 8 years, 15 months. You're asking how long? If our cities have been planned flood resilient, we won't be seeing this, at least not in these proportions. So 15 months, steps have been taken. And then you did 8 years and you're asking how long. We all see the commitment that this government had. And that's why, beyond the Ministry of Works and Housing, who are directly in charge, government takes an exceptional view of the flooding situation and put together a special task force or committee to augment the work of the Ministry of Works and Housing. That signals a commitment to tackle these issues head on. And I'm saying that government is looking at it in the long-term picture, not temporary fixes, okay? And so drainage systems, all right? Drainage systems and all of that. I know the Odo still poses a challenge as far as the circle area and its environment is concerned. This is contained in the plan of the task force to ensure that these drainage systems that have posed perennial problems are desilted so that water can flow in the capital. Don't also forget that the Greater Accra Regional Minister has been on a demolition exercise. I mean, he's come under flak in certain quarters for these work that she's done. But we know that he's doing it for the greater good. Once these buildings are sited in waterways, all right, we are always going to have problems. And it is important that we take bold and decisive action to rid these buildings off. It will cause inconvenience to people and all of that. But first of all, the reason it is causing inconvenience to people is that these people may not have obtained the right permit, or in collusion with people at the MMDAs, cited their buildings at places that are not authorized. So we must take those temporary or those measures which will cause temporary inconvenience to these people for the utilitarian benefit of all of us in the larger city. So this demolition exercise that she's embarked on is also an important step towards ensuring that waterways are rid of buildings and that our cities are able to open up, our drainages in our cities are opened up for us to mitigate the effect of flooding. So government takes a very serious view of this, and every step is being taken. And it is my hope that this year and next year, the flooding situation will improve in Accra. A lot of funds will be committed to that. A lot of work will be done. And in 15 months, I think that we have seen more focus on it than we did in the last 8 years. And Senor is asking when. When he has done 8 years, he's not been able to give a solution. 15 months, he's asking when. When he knows about the task force, when he knows about the Garrett plan, when he knows about commitments that have been put in place in terms of funding by the Minister for Works and Housing to combat this problem. So the issue will be mitigated.
I'm sure we'll talk again in relation to floods because there's a storm even expected to approach the capital today. It's been put out by the Ghana Meteorological Agency, just by way of a bit more in terms of details to persons who are listening to us. And so Akachi, Keta, Agoveme, Anyanui, Bato, Tema, Accra, Madina, Prampram, Mafikumasi, Hu, Ketekrachi, Nkoko, Akosumbu, Asamankese, Dodua, Begro, Ibri, Kufuridi, and surrounding areas. Storm is expected to hit from now going because the time is to be areas to be affected, and then the valid time is at 9:30 and some other areas. And so, particularly for a lot of the coastal towns, a storm is expected, and the Ghana Meteorological Agency has announced that Alpha will take leave of us. Benjamin Alpha Edu, Esquire, is a member of the NDC communications team and also speaks for the Ministry of Attorney General and Justice. I'll wrap up with Emmanuel, who's still with me in studio as a member of the NPP communications team. This flooding situation, you were seeing some of the videos and saying you will be crying if you were in those shoes.
My car was actually submerged in water like that. I'll cry. I don't know.
3FM,
But I think that this is not an issue of MPP and NDC. I'll deviate from that point and rather blame leadership. I think that our leaders must be very proactive. Positions are given not because we want titles, but positions are given for people to work.
Right.
This issue of flood did not start just yesterday. It's been there since time immemorial. We've heard about flood upon flood. We've heard what it's caused to families, the loss of lives and properties and all of that. But it looks like there is no proactivity. There is actually nothing being put out as a mitigating measure. It is still the same Stone Age stories. The same strategy, no new plan. So are we saying that in Ghana, there is no specialist when it comes to drainage system, when it comes to town planning? We don't have any specialists in this country. I am speaking this way because sometimes this is how I talk, and I talk out of passion, out of pain. Look at, because of negligence of how we put out our houses or plans, because of a certain permit officer who sat in a certain district assembly, issued a permit, instead of you to go and see whether the person is actually building at the right place, you just issued because you have received some payments. People's property are submerging water. Their livelihoods are gone. And people do not want us to talk about it.
3FM 92.7.
And again, you come down to the recent committees that was set up. To be sincere, when I saw that committee, I thought that there was going to be something unique. I I thought there was going to be a magic. But it seems we are sleeping as a country. I don't know the last time you visited Europe, but it will be difficult for you to even see the drainage. It will be difficult for you to see it with your eyes. Their drainage system have been covered. Bagana here. You can see it. Philip Adoji said, that is it. Our town planning is so poor that even in wetlands, people are building. They'll do refilling, and build over there when they know very well that where they are building is not the right thing. And when leadership goes for demolition, then we are all empathizing with them. We are crying with them. Oh, and I buy way, and they didn't do well. The issue of flood needs to be relooked at. It should not be the usual rhetorics. When we come, we blame this government. We come, we blame that government. What is the long-term plan? What is government doing? By now, MMDA should be taxed. Every district, we should look at our, municipalities or areas holistically. Which areas, which households falls within, a drainage zone? Which households have been built at unauthorized areas? If you don't take decisive decisions to curtail some of these things, it will forever remain the same stories. When I saw the likes of the Deputy Chief of Staff, Mr. Stan Dogbe, the likes of Teddy, who is the Deputy NADMO coordinator, then the military officer, and then, to be frank, one of the names I saw that I was a bit worried about, what is she going to do? Madame Marita Brew, the President Legal Council, Madame Marita Brew. I was like, no, for her, I don't know, but all these people who have been put in one committee, tell me one good thing they've done from last year, March till date. Just tell me one good thing they've done in this country. The committee is in place. Flood is still going on. It is not ending. And it looks like the usual talk is what, shop talk is what we are still getting in this country. So for me, I am of the view that the committee should go back to the drawing board.
Right.
They should come with a very good mitigating measure that will be offered to various MMDAs to implement. Because if we sit and say that, if the regional minister of Greater Accra do not do this, then nothing will happen. If regional minister of Volta region does not do this, then nothing. The same stories will remain. Flooding will continue. Kaneshi will still be flooded. Agbozume, the areas will still be flooded, and we'll be here. You and I will still be complaining that somebody's car has been submerged in the water. Somebody's what the trotro has. I watched a video. I'm sure it was one of the videos you played. Kaneshi also.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that was on 2 days ago when it rained. I was like, what? And I saw people even in the water. They were struggling for their lives. Is that not the same thing that happened for the June 3rd or June 4th issue some years back?
2.7.
So it looks like Ghana, Pekasa. We want to talk. Let people hear that, I speak big grammar. Let people know that, yes, I'm offering solutions, but the implementation there, I will not do it. So I want to beg, Mr. President, we are begging you. The committee you have tasked, it is more than a year now. We don't know what the committee have done. We've lost so much in this country. If it is possible, I think the committee should be dissolved. Let's have a different committee in place.
Isn't that a bit too harsh? It's easy.
Because, let me ask you, your boss has asked you to sit on this show this morning, and you failed to deliver a whole year, and you want to be allowed to be sitting here and still the same, commentaries that keeps coming down. My brother Mariana is not doing well. The same commentaries, it will give a bad image to your institution. You know that, right?
Right.
So I am of the view that if the committees that are in place, that committee which has
the deputy NADMO director, Mr. Standogbe and the likes, if they are not delivering, let's dissolve them. Let's dissolve the committee. That talk is too much. I don't even know if they are even taking any allowance or stipends for being a member of the committee. That is not to say that I'm saying I don't know, but I am of a firm belief that if the committee is not delivering, and we are still seeing this flood situation, they cannot come out and tell us that these are the solutions they are coming out with. I want to believe that it will be prudent to just dissolve the committees and let's have something else than allowing these people stay in office all in the name of they are members of the president special task force in charge of committees. When they are flooded, they will now go and be in canoe and be. Come on. It's too much in this country.
Right,
the theatrics are just too much for us.
Right, that's Emmanuel Senyo Amekplanu, is a communications team member of the NPP. Earlier, there was Benjamin Alpha Edu Esquire, is also a member of the NDC communication. Emmanuel Akpekakaka, thank you very much for joining us in studio this morning as well.
I think I heard you talk about the fact that there is a big storm.
Yes, there's a storm.
And it's approaching Keta and the rest. I hope that, because when it happens, mostly those within the Keta Anyanguida enclave.
Yeah,
I mentioned already with Amuchinu and the rest. Yes. Yeah, I hope that the government will quickly put mitigative measures in place to, contain this.
Absolutely. I appreciate you as well for joining us.